In the 10th year of my marriage to Sam, I discovered he was cheating. There were no photos, no evidence. The reason I was certain was simply this. That morning, when he woke up, he said to me, "Good morning," 10 years of saying morning. And suddenly, it became good morning. Chapter 1. When the private investigator sent the photos, I was doing exactly what I always did. Sitting in the same cafe, at the same time, ordering the same cappuccino. Steam from the coffee fogged up my phone screen, making the photos look a little blurry, but their content was unmistakably clear. Sam was indeed cheating. The other woman was a girl who had just turned 20. 12 years younger than me. I looked at the way he gazed at her with affection, and set my coffee cup down. Today's coffee tasted a little bitter. I first sensed something was wrong 2 days ago. That morning, he woke up radiant. Didn't wear his usual dark-toned suit, but instead put on a hoodie, and said to me, "Good morning." People always say a woman's intuition is accurate. They're right. On a morning when there were no photos, no evidence, no mistress showing up at my door, I knew for certain that the man I had been married to for 10 years was cheating. After he left that day, I called a private investigator, and today's results simply put an end to all uncertainty. At this moment, I felt calm, so calm that I almost wondered whether I had already lost all feelings for Sam. I saved each photo one by one, paid the investigator the remaining fee, paid for my coffee, and took a taxi to Sam's company. The receptionist stood up the moment she saw me, about to call upstairs. I stopped her. I took the elevator myself to the 9th floor, to Sam's office. When I pushed the door open, Sam was staring at his phone, smiling foolishly. Seeing me, he quickly changed his expression, returning to the gentle, considerate man he had always been. "Rita, what brings you here?" I stared at him, at the sweat forming on his forehead from panic, at the guilt he couldn't hide in his eyes. I kept looking, until he became visibly uncomfortable. Only then did I speak. "Nothing. I just remembered that today is our 10th wedding anniversary. I made a reservation at a restaurant and thought we could go together after work." Sam's face went pale for a split second. I knew he had completely forgotten, and I also knew that he had already promised to take that girl to the amusement park tonight, to ride the Ferris wheel. The private investigator had been thorough. He even sent me the girl's social media account. Out of boredom, I scrolled through it. They first met 10 months ago. Her name contained the character Ji. She was a pastry chef at a cake shop. That explained everything. Why desserts from a brand called Alice Handmade had suddenly started appearing so often in our house. More than once. The desserts Sam brought home contained mango. Mangoes that I was allergic to. The girl also had a cat. A white one. That explained why cat hair had started appearing on Sam's clothes. Even though he was allergic to cat hair, and even though I loved cats, I had never kept one because of him. Sam really was making sacrifices for love. A 20-year-old girl is easy to read. She doesn't know how to hide things. Her account was filled with posts flaunting their relationship. Her nickname for Sam was Uncle. Starting 9 months ago, she documented every sweet moment between them. "Uncle came to buy my cake again today. I drew a little heart on it just for him. It's the most special one. Uncle confessed to me. Hee. It feels like a dream. I'm the happiest girl in the world." Attached image, roses, JPG. That night, Sam didn't come home. I remembered it so clearly, because that night my stomach hurt badly. I called him several times. None of the calls went through. The next day, he finally came back looking exhausted, hugged me, and apologized, saying there had been an emergency at work, and he had worked all night. Chapter 2. I kept scrolling. Birthdays, trips, dates, everything he shared with her. They really did look happy. Until she updated a new post just moments ago. "Uncle finally agreed to go ride the Ferris wheel with me tonight. We're going to kiss at the very top. That way we'll never be separated for the rest of our lives." Sam didn't go ride the Ferris wheel with her in the end. He chose me. 10 years of shared history was still a little longer than 10 months. The familiar revolving restaurant. The familiar seat. From here, you could overlook the best view in the entire city. 10 years is a long time. long enough that the two of us, who once had to split a single bowl of noodles, were now sitting at the highest point of the city, ordering 2 fresh steaks that had been airlifted from the Netherlands that very morning. I slid the gift I had prepared toward Sam. He had no choice but to put on a deeply moved expression. A pair of cufflinks, worth 6 figures. But Sam wasn't wearing a suit today. He wasn't even wearing his wedding ring. I'm really touched. Thank you, Rita, and I really need to apologize to you. I've been so busy that I completely forgot our wedding anniversary. So I didn't have time to choose a gift for you. Can you forgive me? Sam took my hand, apologizing with what looked like sincerity. I smiled. It's all right. I forgive you. A double meaning. I hoped he understood it. After that, we both fell silent. We clinked glasses in silence, cut our steaks in silence. The knife and fork screeched harshly against the plate. Sam looked restless, glancing down at the time again and again. Do you remember when we were at our poorest? That time I found a decent part-time job as a server at a 5-star restaurant. One table ordered over 10,000 yuan worth of food. When I was serving the dishes, I lost my balance and dropped a piece of dessert. The customer got angry. That plate of dessert cost 1,345 yuan, half a month of my salary. It was ridiculously expensive. Rita, why are you suddenly bringing this up? A flicker of embarrassment crossed Sam's face. I ignored him and continued. The manager scolded me viciously and made me stand there for 2 hours as punishment. After the guests left, I secretly packed up that plate of dessert and brought it home. That night, the power was out. The two of us squeezed into that tiny rental room, sharing it bite by bite. Back then, I thought it was the best dessert in the world. But today, I lifted my eyes. Sam avoided my gaze, guilt written all over his face. I suddenly can't remember what it tasted like anymore. Rita, do you want dessert? I'll have someone order it right away. Sam said eagerly. Forget it. Let's eat. I lowered my gaze, but Sam suddenly stood up. Rita, something urgent came up at work. I have to go back. I'll definitely make up for our wedding anniversary next time. He was so flustered that his steps were uneven. He left without looking back. All because the girl had just posted another update. Uncle is a big liar. I'm not talking to him anymore. Boo-hoo. Attached image, her burned hand and a half-finished anniversary cake. I looked out at the dazzling night view of the city, put down my knife and fork, and finally remembered what that dessert from years ago tasted like. It was bitter, in the reflection of the glass. My face was already streaked with tears. Sam had forgotten. That night, the two of us curled up on a narrow single bed. He held me tightly and said to me, Rita, one day I'll make something of myself. I'll let you sit at the highest point of the city and eat the most expensive meal. Now the meal had been eaten, but the person was gone, so it turns out 10 months really can be longer than 10 years. Chapter 3. After that day, Sam didn't come home for 3 days. Love is always impulsive and fervent. That very night, before midnight, they got on the Ferris wheel, kissed at the highest point, and promised never to separate for the rest of their lives. Hello, your cake. Thank you. I thanked her politely and turned off my phone screen, where a photo of the two of them kissing on the Ferris wheel was displayed. I looked carefully at the girl standing in front of me. So this was our first meeting. Alice, Sam's affair partner. She smiled brightly, revealing a pair of playful little fangs. This is our shop's signature cake. It's super delicious. Young girls really are different. Full of energy, bright and radiant. I took a bite of her cake. It tasted good. Just too sweet. So sweet it was cloying. It's very good. Please pack another one for me. I want to bring it to my husband. She smiled. All right. Pretty sister. You and your husband must be very close. I didn't respond. Just watched her carefully tie a bow on the bag. As I was leaving, she spoke sweetly again. Welcome again next time. I hope your husband likes my cake too. He will. He'll like it. I looked at her deeply, then turned and left. I sat on the sofa and waited for Sam to come home, because he hadn't been home for days. The moment he saw me, he wore a flattering smile. Good Rita. I've really been so busy these past few days. I brought you a gift. Don't be mad at me, okay? He walked behind me, wrapped an arm around my shoulders, and buried his face in the crook of my neck, but I still smelled that cloying sweetness. Without showing anything, I slipped out of his embrace. Then I handed him the packaged cake. Sure enough, the moment he saw the box, his face turned pale. Why did you suddenly buy cake? He was testing me. I remained expressionless. Sam kept forcing himself to stay calm. He pulled a velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a gemstone bracelet. Rita, are you still angry with me? I swear, there won't be a next time. Really, there won't. Don't be mad at me, okay? Rita? I used to think Sam acting cute like this was clingy and childish, yet my heart was always full of joy, no matter how decisive and ruthless he was outside. Once he came home, he was always my Sam, but now, this special treatment had become his way of lying to me. I curled my lips into a smile. I passed by. I remembered you like it, so I bought it. Sam let out a sigh of relief. He leaned in again and fastened the bracelet around my wrist. I knew it. Rita wouldn't have the heart to stay mad at me. I felt dazed. I had always thought Sam never changed. In my heart, he was forever the 20-year-old he once was. But now, I could clearly see the fine lines at the corners of his eyes. His sagging cheeks. The strands of white mixed into his black hair. How many years have we known each other? 15 years. 5 years of dating. 10 years of marriage. Sam answered quickly, as if afraid that any hesitation would expose something. 15 years, that really is a long time. Only 15 years. Rita, we still have many more 15 years ahead of us. Sam rushed to declare his loyalty, but 15 years was truly too long. So long that I had mistaken it for a lifetime. So long that someone had already begun to grow tired. Chapter 4. After that day, because he felt guilty, Sam stayed at home obediently for a whole week, and then he started not coming home again. I went back to Alice Handmaid, sat in the same seat as the first time, with my eyes lowered. I scrolled through Alice's page. So last week, he'd taken her skiing. The same slice of cake was placed in front of me. Alice still wore the same smile. Fancy seeing you again, pretty sister. I nodded, but didn't touch the cake. What's wrong? Not going to try it today? I'm sick of it. I spat out 2 simple words. Alice's expression stiffened for a moment. Then she forced her smile back. It's okay. We have other flavors in the shop. They're all really good. You can try a different one. Try a different one. Yes, I could try a different one. I picked up my phone, took a photo of the shop, and posted it. Delicious. Less than a few minutes later, Sam called. I ignored it, hung up every time, then switched my phone to silent. Alice was making a cake. I stood up and walked over slowly. She looked up, saw me, and smiled at me. Pretty sister, want to try? What you make yourself is different from what others make. I nodded. So she led me into her workroom. She taught me how to make a cake, hand over hand. As she worked, she chattered nonstop. Pretty sister, let me tell you, my boyfriend and I met because of cake. The first time he tried, what he made was all crooked and lopsided, ugly as hell. You two must be very close. Alice smiled shyly, her eyes sparkling. Yes, I really like him. First you trim the cake. She handed me the knife. I looked at her youthful, glowing face and raised the knife. But suddenly I heard a shout. Don't! Then I saw Sam rush in, slam into me hard, and throw himself in front of Alice, shielding her as he stared at me, shaken. Rita, I know I'm wrong, but don't do this to her. My shoulder smashed into the wall, pain exploding through me. The knife slipped and scraped across the back of my hand, leaving a cut that immediately bled. I watched Sam put the knife down, then straightened. Alice still didn't understand what was happening. She hid in Sam's arms, clutching his clothes tightly. What's going on, Uncle? I slid the ring off my finger and held it up in front of her. It was the matching pair to the ring on the left hand that Sam was using to protect her. She finally understood. I was the wife, the lawful one, the one he claimed he didn't love, the one who made him lose all passion. Those were her exact words on her Weibo. I feel so bad for Uncle, trapped in a loveless marriage. But it's okay. I don't want anything. I only want his love. From beginning to end. She knew Sam was a married man. I looked at her face turning pale with panic, and then she suddenly gathered the courage to step forward. She bowed to me, her voice trembling as she spoke. I'm sorry. I know what I'm doing is immoral, but I still have to say it. Uncle and I truly love each other. I don't want anything. I only want him. Sam looked at her with eyes full of emotion and gratitude. So pure. But he'd forgotten. 10 years ago, I said the exact same thing, kneeling in front of my father, stubborn-faced. I don't want anything. I only want him. Back then, Sam grabbed my hand and told me he would never let me down for the rest of his life. And now, Rita, I'm sorry, but I love her. Sam wore the expression of someone swearing eternal love. The two of them held each other. And somehow, I looked like the villainess, the evil supporting character, standing in the way of the true love leads. Smack! I raised my hand and slapped Sam hard across the face. So hard my palm went slightly numb. My wedding ring drew a beautiful arc through the air. Hit the floor, rolled a few circles, and disappeared from sight. Sam covered his cheek and wouldn't dare look at me. Instead, it was the girl who looked heartbroken for him. She tried to say something to me, but Sam stopped her. I didn't say a word. I simply straightened my back, walked out of the workroom, smoothed my hair, and picked up my bag. Only then did I turn back and say the first and only sentence I'd spoken since he came in. I've emailed you the divorce agreement. Sign it as soon as possible. Chapter 5. The divorce agreement had been drafted long ago, right after I discovered Sam was cheating. I went to my lawyer friend and asked her to help me draw it up. She was someone who had witnessed, step by step, how Sam and I had made it to where we were. So when she heard that Sam was cheating, her first reaction was disbelief. After she saw the photos of Sam's affair, I still remember her complicated expression, her eyes full of heartache. I thought you two were different. I thought we would be different too. After all, Sam had loved me so much, on winter nights, in the dead of night, just because I said I wanted to eat watermelon. He would go out into the snow and search every fruit shop. There was even one year when the place we lived caught on fire. Sam smashed the window with his bare fist, held me in his arms, and jumped down from the second floor. I came out unscathed. He broke his leg and was covered in injuries. It could be said that in the 15 years from dating to marriage, he had never once lost his temper at me, but the outcome was the same. That day, in the end, I didn't cry. My lawyer friend did, because she could tell Sam genuinely liked that young girl. A feeling so obvious that even a bystander could sense it. How could I, the person involved, not feel it? I had seen what Sam looked like when he loved me, so of course I could recognize what he looked like when he loved someone else. After I got the divorce agreement, I thought I would feel relieved, but I didn't. I couldn't be graceful about it. Going home was the real torment. This house was bought with the first money Sam ever earned. It wasn't big. Everything inside had been arranged by my own hands. No matter how rich we became later, we never left this place, because this was our first home. I still remember the day we got the keys. Sam held me and spun me around. Back then his eyes were shining. Wife, we have a home. We did it. I nodded hard, staring at that not-so-large house, my heart overflowing with joy. At the time, I thought this was a lifetime, but time is too cruel. It can change people beyond recognition. That day, I sat alone in the empty house, the divorce agreement in front of me, and my tears just wouldn't stop. Like most women, I still held onto a sliver of illusion, because burying a relationship is also burying the past version of yourself. But Sam shattered my illusion. The fate of this marriage and my beautiful dream had ended long ago. After leaving Alice's shop, I went to the amusement park, alone. I rode the Ferris wheel 10 times. I cried without restraint. At the very top, I erased Sam from the deepest part of my heart. Chapter 6. When I got home, I took everything from the house that had anything to do with me. Then I bought a plane ticket to Mount Fuji. When we were young, Sam and I used to squeeze onto buses packed like sardine cans, the two of us sharing one MP3 player. The song we listened to the most was Under Mount Fuji. We didn't really understand it, We just thought Mount Fuji must be beautiful. Back then, Sam patted his chest and promised me, in this lifetime, he would definitely take me to see Mount Fuji. But later, the more money we had, the busier we became. So busy that looking back on these 10 years, we hadn't taken a single trip. And now, suddenly, I wanted to go. I wanted to see the Mount Fuji Sam had broken his promise about. Just how beautiful was it? By Lake Yamanaka, I took a photo of Mount Fuji in the distance. It was indeed beautiful, but for scenery like this, I was 10 years late, when it was only a 5-hour flight away. As I was leaving, I saw a couple by the lakeside getting engaged. The boy's eyes were full of love, his emotions surging. The girl's eyes shone, filled with surprise. The surrounding crowd was congratulating them, but I didn't stop. I turned around and walked straight away. Behind me, they were already embracing. In a daze, I remembered, back then, when the bus reached our stop, Sam would always grab my hand tightly. He said there were too many people and he was afraid he wouldn't be able to find me. As he said it, the earphones happened to reach that lyric. Who, with love alone, can claim Mount Fuji as private property? The cheers behind me grew more and more distant, until I couldn't hear them anymore. I stayed in Japan for a week. After I returned home, I went to a temple and lit a lantern for the dead. I hoped that my child, who had never been born, would be happy in the next life. That child was conceived when Sam's company had just begun. Back then, the company's foundation wasn't stable and it lacked funds. I shuttled between several cities without rest, attending banquets, making rounds at drinking tables, securing funding and pulling in projects. Not until I started bleeding did I realize I was pregnant. This was our first child, and also our only one. My body was damaged. It wasn't easy for me to get pregnant again. I still remember when Sam found out. His eyes were bloodshot, and he knelt in front of my hospital bed, slapping himself hard several times. Then the two of us held each other and cried. Sam swore to me that he would make something of himself, and from then on, I gradually withdrew from the company. Sam cherished my health and didn't want me to exhaust myself anymore. When you have too much time, your mind wanders. I often dreamed of that child and started lying awake all night. I wanted to go to the temple and set up a memorial tablet for the child. But Sam was busy. The company had just started. He was busy. When the company stabilized, he was still busy, until he got himself into someone else's bed. On the way down the mountain, a fine drizzle began to fall, cool and cold against my face. It darkened my mood even more. When I returned to the apartment where I live now, I developed a slight fever. After taking fever medicine, I fell into a heavy, hazy sleep. I dreamed all night. I dreamed of a small figure. She hugged me, then waved at me, and gradually ran farther and farther away. I struggled awake. Outside the window, daylight was already blazing, bright sun, high overhead. I knew she was saying goodbye to me, and she wanted me to say goodbye to the past too. In the end, I went to see my father and mother. My father died 5 years ago. My mother was last year. Before my mother passed away, she lay on the hospital bed, still holding my hand and Sam's, telling the two of us to be good to each other. I still remember how she spoke to Sam with effort. Take good care of Rita, my Rita. My father only accepted Sam right before he died, but he couldn't bring himself to lower his pride and soften towards Sam. So he could only threaten him with his usual coldness. Treat my daughter well, or even as a ghost I won't let you go. In the end, he called me closer and spoke again. Rita, you have to live well. You must live well. He repeated it again and again. I was crying so hard I couldn't speak, only nodding over and over. The day we buried my father, in front of the grave, Sam knocked his head to the ground and promised he would treat me well for the rest of his life. Thinking back on all of that, I sat quietly in front of my parents' grave, watching the paper offerings burn down little by little. I didn't say a thing. Only when I finally stood up to leave did I speak. Dad, I will live well. Even alone, I'll live well. There was a faint dampness on my face, so it turned out it wasn't tears. It was incense ash that had gotten into my eyes. Chapter 7. After that, a full month passed. Strangely, Sam still refused to send back the divorce agreement signed. At first, I thought he'd simply gotten what he wanted, was so thrilled he'd lost his head, and was off living a two-person fantasy with Alice. But when I went to his company looking for him, the receptionist said he wasn't there. He still hadn't come home. I couldn't reach him by phone or on WeChat. Nothing worked. He didn't even show up at Alice Handmade, and Alice herself looked distracted and absent-minded, expressionless. I drove away from Alice Handmade. I thought I knew where Sam was. Sure enough, I cornered him in our old rental apartment. When he saw me, his expression held relief, nervousness, and, more than anything, avoidance. I didn't give him a chance to refuse. I went straight to the point. Why won't you sign? Sam forced a flattering smile and poured me a cup of water. Rita, have some water first. I didn't move. I just stared at him. Sam, what are you doing? Rita, do you remember this place? We used to live here. Downstairs there's that steamed bun shop you loved most. 2 bus stops from here is that buffet we used to go to. I still remember, back then, every month when we got paid, we'd go eat there, stuff ourselves until we could barely move, then hold hands and walk all the way home, and I'd secretly take 2 bottles of the grape juice you liked. Sam, I cut him off. I didn't understand why. At a time like this, he was bringing up the past. Oh, and the flower market next door always had not-so-fresh flowers every day. You loved picking them up and bringing them back, arranging them in a vase. You said no matter how hard life was, there still had to be flowers. Sam, I raised my voice. Sam's face went a shade paler, and every time it was my birthday, we didn't have money for a cake, so you'd fry a scallion pancake, squeeze ketchup on it, stick candles in it. Rita, that pancake really smelled amazing, better than cake. Enough. I finally couldn't take it anymore. I pulled the divorce agreement and a pen from my bag and slapped them onto the table. Sign. Sam's expression turned strange. His eyes reddened. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but under my gaze, he dragged his feet and picked up the pen. His hand shook non-stop, yet he still couldn't bring it down onto the paper. Rita. His voice trembled. He gave me a smile uglier than crying. Can I not sign? Hearing that, I finally understood what Sam was trying to do with all this. So I lifted my head and said to him, the bun shop has been transferred. The buffet has shut down. This place is going to be demolished, and I'm never making you scallion pancakes again. Sam, there's no possibility for us anymore. After I said that, Sam suddenly lost control. He threw the pen away, tore up the divorce agreement in front of him, dropped to his knees before me, and begged, I don't want a divorce. Rita, I know I'm a bastard, but Rita, I never thought about divorcing you. It was so absurd it was almost funny. How could Sam say something like that? Rita, Alice said she can do without a title. Just give me some time, I can handle it. The more I listened, the more wrong it sounded. Under the dim yellow light, Sam's face was streaked with tears. The moment I understood it, my whole body went cold. A surge of rage broke loose in my chest, impossible to suppress. I was so furious my voice changed pitch. So you mean I'm the main wife and she's the side one? Sam shook his head frantically. He opened his mouth again and again. I still love you. I've always loved you. Rita, I'm begging you, take one step back for me. Smack. I slapped him hard across the face. For 15 years, I still hadn't seen clearly what kind of thing Sam really was. Sam, you disgust me. And then I left, unable to stay even one more second. Chapter 8. Rita stormed out and slammed the door. Sam collapsed on the floor, clutched his head in agony. Even he couldn't believe he could be this vile, but his heart couldn't lie to him. That day at Alice Handmade, the moment he heard Rita wanted a divorce, what he felt wasn't happiness, and it wasn't excitement. It was unease. That unease kept expanding, as Alice threw her arms around him and screamed with joy. Uncle, this is great! I can finally be with you openly. Uncle, I can finally marry you. Sam stood there in a daze, nodding along, as if trying to press down the unease in his chest. He hugged Alice back, and after that, For half a month. He spent every day and every night fooling around with Alice without restraint. He thought Alice could soothe his unease, but the delicate face and energetic young body that once intoxicated him gradually began to feel tiresome. Even the cloyingly sweet cake smell on her started to disgust him. Sam began to have nightmares and insomnia. He started making mistakes at work over and over, until that night. He dreamed of that year, when he and Rita had taken a coach north and encountered the worst snowstorm in a decade. A whole busload of people was trapped on the road. The snow piled up to half the height of the bus. Everyone thought they would die there. He thought so too, but Rita didn't. In the coach at -20 degrees. Rita opened her coat and pulled him tightly into her arms. She said, "Nothing will happen, even if something happens. On the road to the underworld, I'll hold your hand. We won't be separated. I'll carry your fate for you." Rita's soft body and resolute eyes had stayed with him for many years. So that day, when he jolted awake from the dream, the sight of Alice's beautiful, youthful face beside him filled him with terror. He finally realized Rita was gone. He was going to lose Rita. Sam suddenly understood. All these years, Rita had become his bones, his blood, his flesh. It wasn't that Rita couldn't live without him. It was that he couldn't live without Rita. So he ran. He fled in panic from Alice's side. Fled back home. But the moment he saw the door to that home, fear rose inside him. He couldn't go in. If he went in, he would lose Rita. So he began to avoid Rita. Yet he didn't want to go back to Alice either. And that old rental apartment was the only place where he felt safe. Sam believed that as long as the rental apartment still existed, Rita still existed. And they hadn't changed, but Rita still found him. Sam tried desperately to evade. But he knew Rita too well. Rita was stubborn. She couldn't tolerate a single grain of sand in her eyes. Once she decided something, no one could turn it back. Just like back then, when she could burn her bridges and follow him. When he had nothing, Sam knew he was completely finished. His real thoughts would erase every ounce of their past affection. He truly was a piece of trash. Dreaming a greedy dream of wanting everything, but even if Rita was going to hate him, he couldn't let her go. They were meant to be entangled for a lifetime. Chapter 9. After I got out, I immediately called my lawyer friend. I want to file for divorce. My lawyer friend asked me to meet her at her studio. The moment I sat down, I found it hard to speak. I didn't know how to tell her that Sam was a complete piece of trash. She saw my discomfort and only told me not to worry. She would do her best to help me. I thanked her, then returned to my apartment, exhausted in body and mind. Suddenly I felt lost. All these years, my world had been nothing but Sam. And now, everything had turned into a joke. I knew Sam wouldn't give up. Sure enough, on the day of the hearing, the lawyer he hired argued that our relationship hadn't broken down. His evidence was unbelievably this. On our 10th anniversary, I gave him a pair of cufflinks. I sat in court with a blank expression. Sam, however, was so guilty he didn't dare meet my eyes. After court, Sam wanted to say something to me. It was obvious he hadn't been doing well lately. He looked haggard and unkempt. Rita. But I didn't listen to his nonsense. I walked away. Outside the courthouse, my lawyer friend apologized to me. I told her it was fine. I'd known this would happen. I should have told her I'd booked a plane ticket to France 10 days later. I wanted to learn something new, and I should go see the world too. Sam could drag this out for a while, but he couldn't drag it out forever. 5 days before I left, Alice came to find me and said she wanted to talk. I didn't really want to say anything to her, but she carried an attitude that said she wouldn't let it go unless I sat down with her. So I decided I might as well hear what she had to say. It was obvious she hadn't been doing well either. She no longer had the bright, energetic vitality from when I first met her. Now her face was full of resentment, her complexion terrible, and she no longer had that righteous love stronger than anything stance. From when she clung to Sam in front of me, I really can't live without Uncle. I'm begging you, go back to his side. I was surprised by her words. I had thought she'd come to force my hand. I know it's shameless for me to say this, but Uncle, without you, he won't even see me anymore. He's in so much pain. Uncle loves you. I can give up everything. I don't want a title. I don't want property. I don't want anything. I just want to stay by Uncle's side." As she spoke, her eyes reddened, and tears fell in strings. My feelings became complicated for a moment. I set my cup down and spoke seriously. "First, I'm not going back to Sam. Second, your problems are yours to solve. Third, you say you don't want anything, but every moment Sam ever moved you required money. And the money he spent on you, I've already included it in the property division. I will take what I'm entitled to. Lastly, turn off the recording on your phone." Alice's face went white, tears still in her eyes. She stared at me in disbelief. She hadn't expected me to be so calm, and to see through her so easily. I had spent a few years in business circles too. Her tactic wasn't sophisticated at all. After being exposed, Alice put her phone away and turned vicious. Teeth clenched. "If you want a divorce, then divorce. Why are you dragging it out? Why are you still here?" Shaking his resolve. At that moment, she looked exactly like a madwoman driven crazy by love. I had no mood to keep tangling with her. I stood up to leave, but she wouldn't let it go. She chased me outside and grabbed my arm. "Uncle loves me. As long as you leave, he will definitely marry me." I was fed up. I flung her hand off, but she suddenly fell to the ground, looking pitiful and fragile. Looking at the figure not far away, my face turned cold. How many times was she going to use this cheap, shameless trick? Chapter 10. "Uncle." Alice spoke pitifully, but Sam didn't look at her. He only anxiously tried to explain himself to me. "Rita, I don't know why she came to find you. I'm sorry." Rita, Alice, slumped on the ground, went even paler when she heard that. "Uncle." She called Sam again. Sam spoke impatiently. "Go back first. Don't come harassing her again." Tears immediately welled up in Alice's eyes. I didn't want to watch this nauseating farce anymore. I only said one sentence to Sam: "Control your people." Then I got into my car and drove away. As I left, I glanced at the rearview mirror and saw Alice's expression suddenly turn anxious. Sam looked at her, and his face changed too. What happened after that? I don't know, and I don't want to know. 5 days later, I boarded the plane to France as scheduled, and a month later, I suddenly received the divorce agreement signed by Sam. The contents of the agreement had changed. Sam gave up all property except for the company shares. Along with the divorce agreement, there was a letter. I opened it and read it. Only then did I understand why he had suddenly agreed to divorce. Alice was pregnant. That very day after I left, she suddenly started bleeding. It was only after she was rushed to the hospital that they discovered she was pregnant. Alice planned to pin this on me. She told Sam that if he didn't marry her, she would sue me for intentional injury. In the letter, Sam wrote in unbearable anguish. I didn't believe it, because there were clearly surveillance cameras in the parking lot. Even if Alice really tried to blame it on me, I was confident I would win the case. Sam did this only because he didn't want me to hate him. He used self-sacrifice to beautify his selfish desire to keep the child. Sam was nearly 40. This child might very well be his only child. I sneered and tossed the letter into the trash. I would take the money without hesitation. As for this disgusting kind of deep love, it didn't need to come anywhere near me. The life I had restarted would not be tripped up by anyone or anything. I would live well, even alone. I would live well. Chapter 11, Epilogue. When I returned to China from Paris, it was already 3 years later. Stepping onto familiar land, everything felt strangely unfamiliar. A friend came to pick me up. I waved at her with force. These past 3 years, I had become increasingly confident and at ease. This time, I returned to inherit Sam's estate. Sam had died in a car accident a year earlier. After his death, my friend called me and said Sam had made a will in advance. After his death, all his assets were to go to me. Alice's child ultimately didn't make it. Sam didn't marry her. He only gave her a sum of money and warned her not to disturb me. Otherwise, he wouldn't let her off. When she said this, my friend frowned. What do you think he was thinking? He cared about you so much, yet he cheated. And after cheating, he regretted losing you. And this, maybe it's karma. People really shouldn't do bad things. I didn't answer her. I simply lowered my head and signed the property transfer documents. After signing, my friend and I found a cafe. Sitting by the window, I stirred my coffee and looked at the bright sunshine outside, perhaps sensing something off about my mood. My friend asked carefully, "Are you okay?" After all, it had been more than 10 years together. With death, grudges should fade. I should have been sad. At that moment, a young couple passed by outside the window. They were laughing, teasing each other, talking happily, so happy it felt like the whole world held only the two of them. I watched them absent-mindedly and suddenly thought of what Sam looked like at 18. That winter, at -10 degrees. He ran 5 kilometers. And when he handed me the roasted sweet potato he'd kept warm against his chest, he wore that same smile, as if I were the person he loved most in the world. "Sam, I will grieve for you, but only a little, only that little remains." As I stepped out of the cafe, the song inside was reaching its end. Love keeps turning, wanting to travel all the way to the ends of the earth. How much courage does it take?